Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzi. We have a great show for you today. First topic we'll be going over is the Astros resurgence, doing much better as of recently after starting off the season very underwhelming. So we'll be going over that. After that, we'll be going over Tarik Skubal's incredible season for the Detroit Tigers, my AL and All-Star ballot, my AL and NL All-Star ballot, and then finally a little bit of a first-round mock draft with the NBA draft happening tonight, tying that in a little bit with baseball. But before we do that, I'd like to ask you to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read in the air, please use the link, gsmcpodcast.net. The Reddits of the show, and the Reddits mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get into the show for today. All right, so the first topic is going to be about, like I said, the Astros and their resurgence, doing much, much better as of recently. Let's get into it. So obviously, I've talked about the Astros a lot in this show, being one of the most underwhelming teams this entire year. Have just done really, really horrible. And, they have just been one of the most underwhelming teams I've seen in a long, long time. They had a lot of injuries going into this year and then happening within the year, and it really just killed them down the stretch. And they were off to a bad, bad run. And they are doing better as of recently, though, so it is good. And I just wanted to come here and talk about why and what is going on with them. So, first of all, if you do look at the American League West right now, they have jumped back into second place. They are 2 games above the third place team, the defending world champion Texas Rangers, with 4.5 games just out of first place of the Seattle Mariners. They're 8-2 over their last 10 and have done very, very well. And the also thing that if you look at their opponents, then it's not even like they played bad opponents. They just played the Orioles in a 3-game series at home in Houston, swept them, and even though they were home, the Orioles are, in my opinion, the best team in the American League. So being able to sweep them is pretty incredible and a really, really great sign for the future. You also, of course, beat the White Sox in a 3-game series, which it's the White Sox, yes, but you have to take advantage of beating these horrible bad teams if you want to be able to do something this year. You look back as well. They won 2 out of 3 versus the Tigers, and they won 2 out of 3 versus the Angels. Won 2 out of 3 versus the Cardinals. So going back, not just these 10 games, but back before that as well, they've done much better recently, and there is a little bit of a sign of future, I'd say right now, if you are an Astros fan, and if you are just hoping this team will get better. And I think the main reason for this is the starting pitching improving. Of course, I've talked about many times in the show how bad the starting pitching has been, how underwhelming it has been for injuries or just lack of underperformance in general, but it's done much better as of recently, and that's really due to 2 people. First off, Hunter Brown, the guy you see on the screen there. Brown has done much, much better as of recently, lowering his ERA now currently. He has lowered his ERA. Let me get that up here for a second. He's lowered his ERA to 4.37, which might not be the greatest, but at the same time, you look at where his ERA was before in the season, that is very, very low considering where he was at. So that's a really great job by him. He stepped up when it matters, and now the Astros are only 1 game back of being 500. So that's very, very significant right now. I mean, as I said, they won 6 straight. So you look at Hunter Brown recently. Yesterday, he did end up going 6 innings pitched, giving up 2 hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. A very, very solid start against a really good Orioles team. So overall, just a very exciting revelation. Sorry, we have the Rockies, not the Orioles. It doesn't really take it away, but to get the team wrong there. But is a very exciting sign if you are an Astros fan. Brown was, of course, supposed to be a big part of your rotation this year with all the injuries you had, with the guys getting older, like Justin Verlander. He was supposed to take a big step up, and he really did not do that at the start of the year. He was doing very, very poorly, and the fact that he is doing as great as he is now is a very, very exciting revelation for you guys in the future as well. I think not just now, but a lot of people look to your future as kind of murky with all the contracts you have, with all the people expiring, with all the older players you have, and they don't really see much of a young core building. And the fact now that you have one of these young pitchers in Hunter Brown being able to kind of rebuild his value, become a much better player, is very, very exciting for the future and very exciting if you are an Astros fan because of not just now, but of the future as well. Justin Verlander, probably going to be a free agent this offseason. I don't think you want to re-sign him, and I don't think you are going to re-sign him, so he's probably gone. Framber Valdez, a free agent after next year, which he could potentially leave. And even so, he's getting older and has regressed a little bit as well. So being able to have one of these younger pitchers step up and do really well in this role is not just good for this year when you have been underperforming, but is also going to be great for your future and gives you someone to potentially build around and gives you someone to potentially be a long-term solution in your franchise. So that is very exciting if you are an Astros fan. Now, also, I want to look at another person, which is Ronald Blanco. Now, Blanco is not someone I've talked about enough on this show, but I just didn't really have a ton of time for him. Of course, he did throw a no-hitter earlier in the season, but it's kind of hard doing a segment on no-hitter. When am I supposed to talk about the history of no-hitters for 12 minutes? So I don't really think there was a pathway there, but Blanco has been a very exciting, again, revelation for this Astros team. Kind of came out of nowhere. I believe he was a waiver claim a few years ago, and now is finally up to the big leagues and has done very, very well. Now, of course, we've known about him because he has a very wild season. Again, making all these great starts for the Astros, doing very well, and then also getting suspended for a sticky stuff violation. So that was interesting. But you look at his stats right now, he has a 2.34 ERA. The expected ERA is only at 3.57. So they're also not saying he's regressing a significant amount. I mean, of course, a guy like Ronald Blanco is never going to sustain a 2.34 ERA. I mean, that's just common baseball practice. We know that. But the fact they're only saying he'll go up a little bit, a 3.57, FIP is saying a little higher at 4.06, but at the same time, these numbers still aren't horrible, and Blanco's young, he's under control for a long time, so he's someone you're able to not kind of build around in a sense, and also be able to progress in a nice way in the future, be able to develop them more importantly, and I think Blanco's become a very important player for this team. With all the injuries they've had to the pitching core, and believe me, it's been a lot, Blanco has been able to find consistency with his rotation, has been a very, very big guiding piece of this team. And if he wasn't on this team and he wasn't pitching the way he was, I don't think the Astros would be even close to 500 right now. They'd probably be one of the worst teams in the league, to be perfectly honest with you. So Blanco, an unsung hero. He's been talked about a lot, but I haven't talked about him yet, and I wanted to, and he's just done absolutely fantastic. And going back to Hunter Brown for a second, I noticed I did not talk about his underlying stats. And yeah, if you look at them right now, his expected ERA is 3.32. So they're saying his ERA is going to go down almost by a full run, most likely after the All-Star break. So that's very exciting news if you're an Astros fan. You're getting these guys back. Verlander potentially gets some rest after the All-Star break as well, after coming off his injury. So that should be exciting as well. Potentially gets better. So if you're an Astros fan, things are looking up right now. I mean, sweeping the Orioles is a very, very exciting thing. And yeah, there's not a lot of talent right now in this Astros team with the starting pitching department. I mean, Spencer Arrighetti has just become a disaster for you guys. But Framber Valdez is still there, someone I haven't mentioned a little bit, but still a great, great pitcher, and he's done great this season, so he's always going to be great. But, you have guys like Spencer Arrighetti who's starting consistent games for you, just not that good. And the thing about the Astros is that they still do have potential to get a starting pitcher at this deadline. And there are some good pieces. The main pieces I would look at are Garrett Crochet and Jack Flaherty. Flaherty is a rental, but and so it shouldn't cost that much. Still should cost a good amount. I mean, he's having a fantastic season for the Tigers team. That is definitely going to be sellers. And also with a lack of starting pitching options on the market, I think Flaherty could get a good amount of people back for him. So Flaherty is an option for the Astros here. If you want to go more long-term and more bigger, you can go for a big swing like Garrett Crochet of the White Sox, who is obviously under control for a significant amount of more time. It's also younger, so I think Crochet could be a significant piece you could add as well. But really, those two guys I would look at. The Mets could potentially look to trade Luis Severino if they are out of it, and even if they're not out of it, there's been some rumors that they could trade him just to take advantage of the pitching depth they have. But I don't know. That's kind of iffy for me. But I would say those two options and maybe a Severino or someone else that comes up with other teams that are going to be underperforming. But those are really the two guys I would mainly look at if you're an Astros fan looking to add a starting rotation, looking to add to your starting rotation. Now, just looking at this team overall, I mean, there's still a ton of talent here, obviously. You look at the hitting core, you have guys like Yanner Diaz. You have, of course, Jose Altuve, Jeremy Pena, Alex Bregman. You have Chas McCormick, Jake Myers in the outfield, Yordan Alvarez. These guys are significant players and are very, very good. And, of course, there's so much talent in this Astros team. There always is. So, I did kind of write them off earlier in the season. I said it would be hard to come back from these starting pitcher injuries. And it has been, but they've done well recently. And with Hunter Brown being better, Framber Valdez being a constant in that rotation, Blanco being great, the potential to add a starting pitcher, maybe even two, I think things are looking up for the Astros right now. And look, they're always a threat in the playoffs. You let them make it, I'd be scared. So if you're an AL fan, you should be hoping they don't make it because this team is very, very good. Always is going to be, no matter what happens. So, I mean, we saw them make the World Series in 2020 after finishing under 500. Yes, that was a different season, but still. So, overall, this team still has a ton of talent on it. It's very, very exciting to watch. And, sorry, I made the ALCS in 2020. I'm just realizing I got that wrong. But yeah, this team is still very, very exciting. A lot to like on this team, a ton of talent. And yeah, if I'm an Astros fan, I'd be very, very excited. They've not done great this season, obviously, but there is still something to look forward to right now. And I think that things are actually looking up for them for the first time this season, if you are a fan of them. So yeah, that is our first segment here, talking about the Astros and the resurgence they are having this season. After starting off poorly, I don't want to make it seem like they're doing good out of nowhere, but you get what I mean. We're going into our second segment here, which is going to be talking about Tarik Skubal and the amazing season he is having for the Detroit Tigers. So yeah, we'll be going over that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We'll be moving into our second segment here today, which is going to be talking about Tarik Skubal and his season for the Detroit Tigers. But before we do that, I'd like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read in the air, please use the link, gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get back into our second segment for the day. So, all right, as I talked about, we are going to be talking about Tarik Skubal and the season he has had for the Detroit Tigers. So, let's get into it. So, before the season started, I did end up making my full predictions for the year, and I did have Tarik Skubal winning the Cy Young for the AL. Now, I don't want to make it seem like I was some genius who no one else had this coming. I mean, a lot of people picked Skubal to win the Cy Young. I mean, it's easy to see why, but this was really something I was expecting from him for a long, long time now, and it has finally happened, and I'm finally happy to say that Skubal is breaking out, and just overall, he's a great player and a guy I'm very excited to watch for a long time, and yes, had a fantastic season for this Tigers team. So you look over Skubal's stats currently for the Tigers. You first look at the ERA, which is of course incredible, 2.32. His expected ERA 2.80, incredible. FIP 2.69, expected FIP 2.92. Already is almost at 3 pitching WAR with 2.8 right now. He's made 16 starts for the Tigers, never wavered once. His K to walk ratio is crazy. I mean, right now he has a 10.3 K per 9, a 1.7 walk per 9, and that makes a K to walk ratio of almost 6, which is unheard of. That's just incredible. K percentage of 29.1, again, K to walk ratio of 24.2, so just absolutely insane. Left on base percentage is at 80%, just is doing so good. Hard hit percentage is down 10% from last year, which is incredible. So, yeah, Skubal is having a very, very good season and is just doing great. And one of the reasons why I, like a lot of people, picked him to be the Cy Young winner this year for the AL, and that turned out right, is you look at his past performance. I mean, you look at last year, he had 15 games started before injury. He had a 2.80 ERA, and the peripherals were great as well. I mean, you look, his expected ERA was 2.30, his expected FIP was 2.56, his FIP was 2.0, 3.3 pitching WAR. So there was potential with him. Was a top prospect for a little while. Has great stuff, and just was so good, and ended up being that. I mean, he did absolutely fantastic with them. And going into this year, I, like a lot of people, was thinking, okay, if Skubal stays healthy, he keeps this going for a full season, which we think he can. he's going to be the Cy Young winner. He's going to be one of the best pitchers in baseball, and at this point, he has been. I mean, he's been so good. Cy Young favorite at this point, I'd say, and just been absolutely fantastic. You start yesterday against the Phillies offense, by the way. Phillies offense was incredible. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. It was an aces matchup last night in Tarik Skubal versus Ranger Suarez. It was a very, very great game. There was 1 inning of action, and after that, it was just a pitcher's duel throughout that. Suarez did give it 4 earned runs, though, so that's kind of disappointing. But overall, Skubal, again, having games like this against an offense like the Phillies is extremely impressive. So Skubal, I honestly think, is going to be a future superstar. Is at this point a top 5 pitcher in baseball and is going to stay one for a long time. And it's just falling in that tree of elite Tigers starting pitchers. I mean, of course, you had in the past Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer. You're not going to have Skubal. And it's just done so great this year. And it's just unfortunate that the Tigers themselves have not followed up with that. Obviously have done pretty poorly, and the Tigers weren't a team I expected to make the playoffs, weren't a team I had highly thought of, but I expected them to take a step up this year. I really did. I thought there were a lot of good pieces, a lot of good young pieces on this team to be able to step up, and really they just have not, and it's been very unfortunate for them. So that is sad, but I mean, really the main reason is just their young hitters. There's Spencer Torkelson and Parker Meadows, 2 guys they had slotted in on opening day. Meadows in center field, Torkelson at first base. Both of those guys they thought would be franchise pieces, and now both are in AAA trying to get back to the major leagues. Colt Keith, a guy you can't option because you signed him to a huge extension, has not done great this year. Has shown more potential than the other 2, but still hasn't done great. Has been better as of recently, but again, still would like better seasons from him. And I think if those 3 guys really did improve and were better this year, they would have been a much better team. Because you look at this rotation, it's really incredible. You have Skubal, you have Jack Flaherty, who I talked about last segment as being a great pitcher this year and being one of the main trade pieces for a lot of teams. Kenta Maeda, who's been a good veteran pitcher for you guys. Reese Olson, who's also been a really good, solid, younger piece for your team. So there's a lot of good starting pitching on this team, a lot of good pitching. Your bullpen is also incredible. Guys like Shelby Miller, Alec Lang, Andrew Chafin, Jason Foley. I mean, those are 4 really great relief pitchers right off the rip there. So, yeah, if I'm a Tigers fan overall, I am very excited with Skubal and his future. Just unfortunate and sad that the Tigers team really did not take the step up that you would like them to for today, for the future as well. Now, looking over the Tigers, there still is a lot to like here. I mean, of course, I think Torkelson is, unfortunate. I don't know what is going to happen with Torkelson, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that overall, he's not ever going to live up to the expectations that they expected from him, which is a 40 home run bat. I mean, you pick a first baseman first overall, you're expecting him to be a generational slugger, I'd say. So that's unfortunate. But you have the potential to trade for some good prospects here when you trade Flaherty. Of course, Skubal is going to be a big part of your rotation going forward. Maybe Casey Mize steps up and becomes a big part of your rotation. Reese Olson, hopefully he continues this performance and does really well, becomes a big part of this Tigers' future. Again, bullpen has a lot of good pieces for the future as well. So, yeah, as much as the Tigers are unfortunately not doing great this year and have underperformed, there sure are a lot of good pieces. Jackson Jobe, one of the top prospects in baseball, should be up at some point next year, which should also up your rotation. Max Clark should be up at some point in the next 2 to 3 years. Superstar bat, I think. Chase Young should be up sometime this year. Kevin McDongle, I can't pronounce his name, but also a top prospect, should be up in upcoming years, probably 2 to 3 as well. But there are still some good pieces on this Tigers team. There are a lot of things to like, and as much as you have been underperforming with guys like Skubal at the helm, you still do have a lot of potential here. You still do have a lot of hope. And looking at the deadline again, you're going to be able to trade guys like a Chafin, like a Miller, to get some good pieces back. Maybe even flip Foley or Lang for a controllable bat, because as much as they are good, they're a reliever. And the Tigers have shown that they can churn out very good relievers. They know how to do that in that bullpen. So there are a lot of potential things here to do for the Tigers, and I think it really all comes back to Tarik Skubal and building around him. I don't think they're going to trade him. I think they're going to offer him a massive extension, to be perfectly honest. And I think he is going to sign with the Tigers long term at some point. They have to. I mean, this guy's incredible. He's not a player you trade to get prospects back. This is a guy you keep at the start of your rotation for the next 10 to 15 years, and you build around him. These are the guys you put monuments outside the stadium for. So, yeah, if I'm a Tigers fan, I'm very much hoping Skubal can continue this, of course. And again, I think he's a fantastic pitcher, fantastic player, and I'm very excited to see what the future holds for him. And yeah, I think he's really going to be fantastic. So again, the Tigers just have done very unfortunate this year, just, have not done great. And there are still a lot of pieces here in the future. Just you look at Skubal and you have hope again. Tigers have a long line of great elite homegrown starting pitchers with Verlander, and I think Skubal will be the next guy of that. Scherzer wasn't really homegrown, being a first round pick by the Diamondbacks, but Tigers traded for him after Diamondbacks gave up on him, so I guess maybe. But yeah, overall, Tigers team still has a lot going for them. There's still a nice future here. So from a Tigers fan, I am excited about where this team can go, and I am excited about what is going to happen in the future. AL Central is going to be tough for the future as well, though. That is one thing you have to look at with teams like Cleveland, who are not going away. I mean, they now have taken over for the best record in baseball last night, so of course they're going to be a problem for years to come. Royals don't look like they're going anywhere. Twins look like they're going to be good. Even the White Sox should be good in 2 to 3 years. So this AL Central is going to end up being fun for the next few years, and I think the Tigers are going to be battling. I think they're going to be a good team, and it should be very exciting to watch them and watch the entire team progress. I am very excited just as a baseball fan. I think there are a lot of good pieces here, and I think there are a lot of exciting players to watch. And yeah, I love Max Clark, by the way. Just want to talk about him because we're talking about the Tigers. Their top prospect. I think he's fantastic, and I think he's going to end up being very, very good for a long, long time. So yeah, that is our second segment here, talking about the Detroit Tigers and Tarik Skubal season for them. We'll be moving into our third segment, which is going to be talking about my updated All-Star ballot for, first off, which league are we going to be doing first? We'll be doing the American League. So yeah, we'll be talking about that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our third segment, which is going to be talking about my American League All-Star ballot. I keep saying bracket whenever I do these things. That's not good. Don't know why I do that. But yeah, we'll be going back into it, so let's get into it. So I did do this, I think, around a week or 2 weeks ago, but with injuries, with performance, I wanted to give some updates on it and wanted to give an update on the guys I will be picking for this ballot. So let's get into it. So first off, at first base for the American League, I have from the Cleveland Guardians, Josh Naylor. Now, Naylor has had a fantastic season. I mean, he has really broken out, really become the guy that Guardians expected him to be when they did acquire him from San Diego all those years ago in the Mike Clevenger trade. Has been one of the biggest reasons why the Guardians have been so good this year and have been such a big surprise, and that's the reason I did pick him. I think there maybe were some other options that could have potentially been a little bit better, but I thought the stat comparison was so equal, and the fact that the Guardians are in the place where they are because mainly of a reason like a Josh Naylor and someone else you see on the screen for the American League. I'm sure you can guess who. Naylor, I thought Naylor was the correct choice for this game. He's been absolutely fantastic this year for them, and I wanted to pick him, and I think he's the right decision here, and I did end up picking Naylor for first base here in the American League. At second base, I am going to be having from the Houston Astros, Jose Altuve. Altuve is just the model of consistency. No matter what goes on off the field, no matter how the Astros are playing, Altuve has been amazing and has been an amazing player for this Astros team, and continues it this year. He's having an incredible season even when they weren't performing their best. Never let that stop him, and has been fantastic this year. So yeah, overall Altuve is just a model of consistency. Has been so fantastic this year for them. There were some other potential options to go with for the American League for the second baseman position. You could have gone with Michael Massey, a breakout player for the Royals, Brandon Lau for the Rays, but also David Schneider or Marcus Semien. But I did end up going with Altuve. His stats are better. He's the name as well, so I thought overall it was the right decision to go with Altuve, and he's just been absolutely fantastic this year. Next, for third base, I have from the Boston Red Sox, Rafael Devers. Devers has been absolutely insane this year, having one of the best offensive seasons of his entire career. Has been just so incredible. One of the biggest reasons why the Red Sox have been so exciting this year and have been such a surprising team as well. Such a team that has outperformed expectations. Has been, again, absolutely fantastic this year, and I did end up picking him. There were some other options you could go with. Of course, Isaac Paredes, Jose Ramirez are some great third basemen. I was very close to picking Ramirez, but I did end up going with Devers, even though Ramirez is great. Jordan Westerberg has been great as well, so is Josh Smith. But I thought Devers was having the best season. I thought in regards to where the Red Sox were this season, I thought that overall it was the right decision. And yeah, I think he's been fantastic for them and has been a great player. Next, at shortstop, I have from the Baltimore Orioles, Gunnar Henderson. This was such a hard decision for the AL shortstops. I mean, there's so many good young AL shortstops. Mainly, I was deciding between two people, though. Gunnar Henderson and, of course, Bobby Witt Jr. Both these guys are former top prospects, former top picks for their teams, homegrown, young, superstar shortstops on budding AL teams, and it was so hard to pick. I did end up going with Henderson. I think he's having the better season this year. I think right now he's one of the MVP favorites, behind, of course, Judge and Soto, who are, of course, going to be the top two most likely. But Henderson has had a fantastic season. I don't know if you'd say if he can break out because we kind of expected this from him, but yeah, it's been so great. Bobby Witt Jr. had an amazing season as well. Was so close to picking him, but unfortunately, I did have to go with Gunnar, and that's the decision I went with. But still, both are having fantastic seasons. It was a very tough decision. I just think Gunnar's having the better one, and also the Orioles themselves are having a better season as well. So, in the first outfield spot, I did have from the New York Yankees, of course, Aaron Judge. I mean, what's there to say about Aaron Judge that hasn't been said at this point? I mean, he's one of the best players in baseball, is an incredible hitter, is an incredible defender, is an incredible player. I mean, it's Aaron Judge. What are you going to say at this point, right? He's going to be here for probably the rest of his career, and it's just an outstanding, fantastic, generational player. This is a player I'll be telling my kids that I got to see. Make sure you don't take Judge for granted. He's a fantastic, again, generational type player, someone that I'm going to be watching for a long time, hopefully. Next, we have from the Cleveland Guardians, Steven Kwan. When I was talking about Naylor and some other guy who was helping this team propel to the offensive lengths they were, this is the guy I was talking about, Steven Kwan. Kwan has had an insane season this year, is close to hitting 400 right now, and as much as I'm not a big fan of batting average, that's still pretty fantastic. I mean, a 400 on base percentage is great, so hitting 400 is blowing my mind. So Kwan has had a fantastic season for this Guardians team. Just has become such a transformative bat. Was really good his rookie season. Kind of had a sophomore slump last year and has really turned it up this year and is just so incredible. Has some of the best bat-to-ball skills I've seen in a long time. Him and Arias are really bringing that style of hitter back. And yeah, Kwan has just been so fantastic. One of the biggest reasons why this Guardians team has been such a surprise as they have, and why they are right now the best record in the MLB at the time I'm recording this. So overall, Kwan is an absolutely fantastic player, has become honestly one of the best outfielders in this game. With all the outfield talent we have, it's pretty exciting if you are a Guardians fan. So yeah, overall, Kwan is so fantastic and has had an amazing season this year. Next, of course, is Juan Soto from the Yankees. Again, him and Judge were the no-brainers. I thought Kwan was also a no-brainer, but at the same time, it was a decision to be made. So, yeah, not really a big surprise here that I went with Judge, Kwan, and Soto. But Soto's had a fantastic year. Again, generational type player. Not really one I'm going to spend too much time on. We know how good Soto is, and yeah, he deserves to be the displacement as well. Some other players I did want to shout out for outfield because, of course, you get 3 spots. There are a lot of people in contention. I want to shout out Wilyer Abreu of the Red Sox having a really great season. Miguel Andujar having a good season for the Athletics. You also look at J.W. Day having a good season as well for the A's. Colton Cowser, who's done very well for the Orioles, one of the Rookie of the Year frontrunners. Jarren Duran, who I had a whole segment on yesterday, how good he's been doing this year for him. Also great, but again, just couldn't find a spot for him. Riley Green, fantastic season for the Tigers. You also want to look at a guy like Tyler O'Neill, fantastic season for the Red Sox. And, Anthony Santander, also a great season for the Orioles. Kyle Tucker, of course, absolutely fantastic. Was very close to picking him, but unfortunately couldn't, just because I didn't have any spots. But a lot of players available for the outfield spots. Just did end up going with these three. I think they're the best right now. At catcher is where it gets interesting. I had from the Boston Red Sox, Connor Wong. Who would have thought, huh? Connor Wong be your all-star this year. He's having an absolutely fantastic season. Just is one of the reasons why, again, with Devers, the Red Sox have been so good this year and have outperformed so many expectations. Is just doing fantastic for them. Was one of the big parts of that Mookie Betts trade to the Dodgers. Dodgers sent him back to the Red Sox, of course, and has finally lived up to that potential. He's given Red Sox fans something to cheer about, and he's really becoming what looks to be a franchise catcher. Has a unique skill set for a catcher, being fast as he is. I mean, he steals a lot of bases for a catcher, but also can hit for contact, hit for power, and is just an overall great, fantastic player. And I think he deserves this position here. Always fun when a player comes out of nowhere and lives up to his potential finally and does really well. So props to him. He's done really, really fantastic, and he's done great. Also, some guys I wanted to shout out for this position that I didn't get I almost picked. Ryan Jeffers having a really good season for the Minnesota Twins. Logan O'Hoppe, Salvador Perez. Perez I was very close to picking. And then the guy I came very, very close to picking was Adley Rutschman of the Baltimore Orioles. I think Rutschman is having a better season. I think is the better player, but I wanted to go with Wong. I thought it was a lot more fun having Wong in here starting. I'm sure Rutschman will make the All-Star team in one way or another, but when is Connor Wong going to get a chance to make an All-Star game again? So I did want to go with him, but I think him and Rutschman are very, very close right now for the All-Star ballot. And with DH in the American League, for my final pick, I did end up going with from the Houston Astros, Yordan Alvarez. No surprise here. I mean, Alvarez is one of the best DHs in all baseball, one of the best players in all baseball, period, one of the best hitters I've seen, is having an absolutely fantastic year, is first in voting for a reason. Yeah, is really, really great. And yeah, I'm not going to, again, like Judge and Soto, we know how good he is. Not going to spend too much time on him. Guys I almost picked were Kerry Carpenter, who's having a fantastic season for the Tigers. David Fry, who's having an amazing season for the Guardians, but is only really a platoon bat, so I didn't really pick him. Also, Ryan O'Hearn, great season for the Orioles. Giancarlo Stanton, of course, hitting the ball well always. So that is my American League All-Star ballot here, my updated one. I'm going to go over it again quickly. From first base, I have from the Cleveland Guardians, Josh Naylor. At second base, from the Houston Astros, I have Jose Altuve. Third base, from the Boston Red Sox, Rafael Devers. Shortstop, from the Baltimore Orioles, Gunnar Henderson. The three outfield spots, first, two from the New York Yankees, Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. Then from the Cleveland Guardians, Steven Kwan. Catcher, from the Boston Red Sox, Connor Wong. And DH, from the Houston Astros, Yordan Alvarez. So yeah, that is our third segment here. Moving into our fourth segment, which is going to be talking about, let me get the text up here, the NL All-Star bracket. I don't know why I keep saying bracket. I do apologize. So yeah, we'll be doing that. We'll be going into our fourth segment, the NL part of the All-Star brackets. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Thank you for that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast. We're moving into our fourth segment, which is going to be talking about, again, my All-Star ballot, updating it. I did do a segment on it like a few weeks ago, but I did want to update it with injuries happening and just performance happening as well. So yeah, I want to apologize, by the way, from the last segment. If you were watching, there might have been a weird cut at the end. I was recording and it magically gave out in the middle of my recording because it said I didn't have enough space. so I had to delete some things and come back. But just sorry about that if that was a little weird or there's a weird cut. But hopefully it's better in post-edit. So yeah. So we'll be starting off with the first base position, so let's get into it. So first, at first base from the I chose from the Philadelphia Phillies, Bryce Harper. And as much as it is weird hearing Bryce Harper be a first baseman, in my opinion, he was the correct pick for this decision. There were so many people I could have picked here. I mean, really, I was between him and Freddie Freeman. Freeman's having a absolutely incredible season, but I did want to go with Harper for a few reasons. One, first of all, I think the storyline of him transforming into a first baseman after being an outfielder his entire career was very, very cool, and just being able to flawlessly make that transition is a testament to his talent. And I think people have this misconception that first base is some incredibly easy position. It's definitely easier than others, but it's still a very hard position. You're still scooping baseballs, you're still catching baseballs that are throwing 80 miles per hour, thrown across the diamond. So the way he's been able to transform himself to be a first baseman has been very, very impressive. And also, overall, the Phillies are the best team in baseball right now, so I did want to give a little bit of props to Harper and his team. So I chose Harper really as a testament of that. Of course, there's one other Philly on this list. You see him, I'm sure you see him if you're watching on video. So overall, Harper was the decision for me at first base here. It is very hard between him and Freddie Freeman. I mean, those two guys are the elite of the league first baseman. But I did end up going with Harper for the reasons I did say. Now, there are some other guys I wanted to shout out. Of course, Pete Alonso having a great season for the Mets. Michael Busch having a really nice season for the Cubs as well. You also are going to be having Matt Olson, also always a great player. Lamont Wade, Christian Walker, some other guys having great seasons at first base as well. But for me, it came down to Harper versus Freeman. At second base in the National League, I do have from the Arizona Diamondbacks, Ketel Marte. Marte is having an absolutely amazing season right now. Might be in the top 5 MVP right now, and it's just really there was no competition for me at this decision. I thought Marte was having the best season all around for second baseman in the National League. He's been a really, really great player for a long, long time now, and is finally putting a lot of it together for this year. I mean, has been great before, but this might be his best season yet. So, yeah, has been absolutely fantastic this year. Was easily the choice for me at second base. I, again, didn't really think there was anyone close. Luis Arias, of course, having a really good season. Ozzie Albies as well. But both those guys I didn't think came close to the season that Marte is having. Third base here, I have from the Philadelphia Phillies, Alec Bohm. Now, if you would have told me that Alec Bohm would be an all-star at the start of the season, I would probably laughed in your face. Because Bohm was not a guy I had on my radar breaking out and being able to do what he has done this year. Has been fantastic, just incredible. I mean, it's one of the biggest reasons why the Phillies have been as good as they have been this year. And Jet has done really, really great. Overall, has just had a fantastic season overall. And yeah, has broken out in a real way and has been fantastic this year. Now, there were some guys, of course, I were considering as well. You also have from the Rockies, Ryan McMahon. McMahon really was the guy I was debating with Bohm, but I decided to go with Bohm just because I think the season he's having is a little bit better, and also, of course, the Phillies are a much better team than the Rockies, and I think that does matter when factoring in All-Star. I'm 100% confident that McMahon is going to get in the All-Star game because every team, of course, needs a representative, and who else are you going to pick for the Rockies? No one else is good, so McMahon is going to get in. I decided to give the starting spot to Bohm just because I think he's having the better season, and of course his team is as well, so I did end up going with him. Now, at shortstop is where people might get mad, and this is my decision. I think it's the right one, and I'm going with from the New York Mets, Francisco Lindor. Lindor is quietly, again, having one of the best seasons in Major League Baseball. He's always a slow start. Always first month he's horrible, second month he's bad. Then after that, he really kicks it up a notch, and has he done that this year? Since moving to the leadoff spot, the Mets have done so well. Lindor's done incredible, been one of the best players in all of baseball, I'd say. And yeah, overall has just been a absolutely fantastic, amazing player, and has just been so incredible for these past few weeks or so. While the Mets have been doing as good as they have been, of course we know about the storyline of them and Grimace and all that fun stuff. But Lindor hitting like he's supposed to be has been one of the biggest additions for them, and has been absolutely incredible, amazing player, and somehow has had 4 straight great seasons with the Mets. Never made an All-Star game yet, so I'm hoping that changes. He deserves it. And as a Mets fan who gets to watch him every day play, it is a joy. And his defense is absolutely incredible. Of course, this easily would have gone to Mookie Betts, but he is now going to be hurt for a significant amount of time. So I think Lindor is the second best option. Also, looking here, I would have C.J. Abrams as another guy I was debating. Ellie De La Cruz also being fantastic. Trey Turner, Mason Wynn, those guys are all great, but I did go with Lindor for the performance of the Mets these past few weeks and how well he has done since moving to the leadoff position. So I did go with him. All right, so going into the outfield now, we have first from the San Diego Padres, Jurickson Profar. Profar has done fantastic this year. I've talked about him a good amount in the show, how well he has done and how just amazing the season has been for him. Signed a 1-year, $1 million contract with the Padres in the offseason, and man, has that been worth it. Really has broken out this year, been so incredible, and yeah, it's just been a huge piece of what the Padres have been doing this year. Has been so fantastic, and yeah, I don't know what to say about him. He's had an insane season for a guy of his caliber. It's just been so incredible to watch, and yeah, I wanted to give some love to him here. I had him as my first outfield pick in the last ballot as well, and I'm continuing to have that. Next here we have someone I did not pick, two guys I did not pick as well for the outfield. First, from the San Francisco Giants, Heliot Ramos. Ramos has been fantastic this year and has really gone under the radar because of the Giants' performance. In a team that lacks big bats, Ramos has really transformed himself into one and has been so great. I mean, really has been fantastic for them this year. Was a top prospect for a little while with them. Really never lived up to his pedigree as that, but has done, really just fantastic this year and has done really great. So I wanted to give some shout outs to him. I wanted to put him on this ballot, and I think he's had an amazing season, and I think he definitely deserves this placement here. Has been very good, and yeah, overall I think this placement is very earned for Ramos and has had an amazing season for the Giants this year. Next up, we have from the Milwaukee Brewers, the last outfield spot, Christian Yelich. Yelich had a great season this year. I almost had him on my ballot last time, but was hurt for a little bit of the year, so I wanted to give him more playing time to see if he would sustain this to put him on the ballot. He did, and he is my pick here for the third outfield spot. I think he's been fantastic, and yeah, he deserves this placement here. Has been very good. Now, I wanted to give some shout-outs to some other guys here for the outfield position for the National League. Some other guys who have been doing very well. I wanted to give a shout out to Jazz Chisholm. Is having a solid season. Brendan Donovan, as well as has had a solid season. Teoscar Hernandez is someone I really wanted to get involved here, but I did not unfortunately find a place for him, but still is doing very well. Brandon Marsh having a really good season. Brandon Nimmo, Jake McCarthy, Jackson Merrill, Andy Pages, Brian Reynolds, great season. Spencer Steer, Seiya Suzuki. Tatis, of course, before he got hurt, would have been one of the picks. So overall, a lot of talented outfield position, a lot of talented players at the outfield position, but I did end up going with these three for this. Catching position for the National League, I have William Contreras. Contreras has had an amazing season for the Brewers since coming over in that trade from the Braves a few years ago. Has been just such an amazing player for this Brewers team. He's having an incredible offensive season this year. Has been so good, and yeah, overall has been really fantastic and a big part of why the Brewers are first place in the NL Central right now. Some other guys I was close to picking for this were Francisco Alvarez, just didn't have enough time. Patrick Bailey, who I thought has been absolutely fantastic this year. Wilson Contreras, his brother, but of course has also been injured this year. Elias Diaz has also been good. Will Smith has also been good, but I did end up going with William Contreras. Now, the National League DH, you see who it is on the screen. From the Los Angeles Dodgers, it's Ohtani. You may think that was an easy decision, and as much as it was hard because I wanted to get Marcell Ozuna in there. Has been so incredibly fantastic for this Braves team, but I just think Ohtani's having a better season, and yeah, but Ozuna still having an amazing season. I'm sure we all know how well he's been doing for this Braves team. Is one of the big reasons why they've stayed afloat in this stretch of having no Acuna and having no Strider. So, yeah, wanted to give a shout out to him. So. We'll be going over the ballot again. From first base position from the Philadelphia Phillies, Bryce Harper. Second base from the Arizona Diamondbacks, Ketel Marte. Third base from the Philadelphia Phillies, Alec Bohm. Shortstop from the New York Mets, Francisco Lindor. Outfield from the San Diego Padres, Jurickson Profar. Outfield from the San Francisco Giants, Heliot Ramos. Outfield from the Milwaukee Brewers, Christian Yelich. Catcher from the Milwaukee Brewers, William Contreras, and DH from the Los Angeles Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani. So yeah, that is our fourth segment here, talking about my NL All-Star ballot. Wanted to give an update on that. Moving into our fifth and final segment here, which is going to be talking about a little bit of a mock draft. So of course tonight is the NBA draft, so that is very exciting. I will be watching that. Always love the draft, and because of that, I did want to give a little bit of MLB draft talk. I'll be giving my first official top 10 of the mock draft. So yeah, I'll be going over the guys I have picked there, picked in the positions they do, why, and yeah. So we'll be doing a mock draft when we come back. So thank you, and see you after the break. Fourth and final one. So thanks, and bye. All right, we are back for our fifth and final segment here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our first mock draft of the MLB draft season. Tonight was the NBA mock. Tonight is going to be the NBA mock draft. I'm not sure if that will be on by the time I'm uploading this, but it's very exciting. I always love the drafts for MLB, NHL, NFL, NBA. I love the draft, and I wanted to give some thoughts on the MLB draft. It's been a few weeks since I have. Also, with the College World Series ending, congrats to the Tennessee Volunteers. I wanted to just talk a little bit more about college baseball and the MLB draft in general. So yeah, I'm gonna go for my for top 10 picks, and these pictures aren't exactly in order, so if I have to look around for a picture to find the player, I apologize. But yeah, so the first off, we're gonna be starting off with a shocker here, and I understand that, and that is first overall pick for the Cleveland Guardians select Chase Burns, right-handed pitcher, Wake Forest. Now, Burns was not someone I had going first overall at any time in this draft process, but more and more as we get closer to the draft, I've heard Chase Burns' name connected more to the Guardians, and it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. What we've heard is the Guardians would like to go under slot and get a player that won't cost as much as they would for a first overall pick. I disagree with the decision, but it's not mine to make. And Burns has been connected to them for a few reasons. One, when you're in the Guardian position right now and you have the first overall pick and you're the best team in the American League, you can pick for a position. And the Guardians right now need a young starting pitcher. And a guy like Chase Burns will be able to come up next year, maybe even this year, and be a relief arm and make a significant impact on your team. I think Burns makes a lot of sense in that regard, is a perfect fit with them. And yeah, overall, as much as it is a shocker, as much as I did not expect this to happen, I do have Burns going first overall for the Cleveland Guardians. And yeah, I mean, it'll be a very exciting future rotation with him, Tristan McKenzie, Gavin Williams, Tanner Bybee, when everyone gets healthy. So should be very exciting to watch for a Guardians fan. And yeah, I do end up having Chase Burns here going first overall to the Cleveland Guardians. Not something I expected, but there we go. All right, so at second overall, for the second overall pick, I have the Cincinnati Reds selecting Charlie Condon, third baseman outfielder from Georgia. If Condon falls to the Reds, I'm sure they'd be absolutely ecstatic. I had Condon going first overall a good amount of times here for my mock drafts, and yeah, I still think he's the best player in the draft. Has insane power hitting potential, and would be a perfect fit in this Reds young core. Can come up by next year and fit in perfectly with the guys like Ellie De La Cruz, Christian Encarnacion Strand, Matt McLean, Spencer Steer. Be a very exciting player for the Reds to pick. Not sure if he's going to be playing outfield or third base in the future, but overall, Condon is a fantastic, fantastic prospect, has some insane power hitting potential, is an amazing, amazing player, and yeah, overall is just a lot of potential for the future and for this Reds team, and I think will be a fantastic pick. Next, for the third overall pick in this draft, I have the Colorado Rockies selecting Travis Bazanza, second baseman, Oregon State. Now, Bazanza was a guy I also had going top 2 for most of this prospect in the draft, but also I did have him falling now, while I did have Burns going first overall underslot to Cleveland. Now, Bazanza is still an amazing, amazing player, younger as well, going into college from Australia, is an amazing, nice hitting lefty bat, and yeah, overall is just a very talented player. I'm sure the Rocks would be ecstatic if a player of Bazanza's caliber did fall to them here at number 3. I think they would be just again ecstatic, and for a Rockies team trying to rebuild the core, trying to rebuild their future, having a guy like Bazanza fall to them and go into their organization would be absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure they have to be thrilled if this would happen. So yeah, next for the 4th overall pick, I have the Oakland Athletics selecting Jack Caglione, first baseman, left-handed pitcher from Florida. Now, Caglione is a guy we've had on our radars for a long time, since Jeff Passan published an article about him being the American Ohtani. That might have been a little overblown, but I still love Cags as a prospect. Of course, was on that amazing Florida team this year. Cags is amazing and has some amazing lefty power potential. I think can be a 40 home run bat for a team at first base, and with this A's team that is looking to start themselves anew in Sacramento and Las Vegas, getting a guy as marketable as Cags is going to be very exciting for them, and he's overall a really, really fantastic player and someone I am definitely watching for the future. I don't really think he's much of a pitcher in the major leagues, but at the same time, I think he has the potential to end up being a 40 home run bat at first base, someone I really think has a ton of potential here, and for an A's team, again, trying to restart themselves, having a player of this caliber, as young as him, being at the forefront of that would be very, very exciting. So, for the 5th overall pick, I have the Chicago White Sox taking, not him, there we go, Nick Kurtz, first baseman, Wake Forest. Let me get that picture up. Alright, I gotta find it. But yeah, Nick Kurtz is a player I am very, very high on. I think is pretty fantastic, and overall is just someone I am very high on. I think he's a really good lefty power hitting first baseman, and I think has a ton of potential here in the major leagues. That is not him. I want to make that clear. But I think overall Nick Kurtz is just a fantastic, fantastic player, and is someone that I think has a ton of potential for the major leagues. With this White Sox team that is trying to get their young core in shape, drafting a guy like Kurtz, who's very athletic at that first base position, can be a big, big power bat, would be very exciting, and a great way to start your franchise back up. I think, again, Kurtz is a fantastic, fantastic player, and is someone that is going to be a future star in this league, and I think the White Sox would be thrilled to have him fall here to number 5. So, we'll be going into, next we have 6th overall, the Kansas City Royals select Hagen Smith, left-handed pitcher from Arkansas. Now, Smith and Burns were really in the contention for 1 and 2 pitcher. I think a lot of people have Burns going first, a lot of people have Hagen Smith going first, but I only have Burns going first because of the circumstances the Guardians found themselves in. But I still think Hagen Smith is really fantastic, has a great combination of pitches as a starting pitcher. It's a very imposing presence, being tall, big lefty windup, and I think has a ton of potential for the future as a star pitcher. And to end up being a really, really fantastic player for the future for this Royals team that needs young pitching. Already has a fantastic amount, but needs just some more depth in the minor leagues overall. I think Smith would be a fantastic addition. Could be up potentially by the end of next year, or maybe even by the middle of next year, and I think overall is a fantastic, fantastic player, and can end up being a future star for this Royals organization. Next, for the 7th overall pick, I have the St. Louis Cardinals selecting J.J. Weatherholt, infielder from West Virginia. Weatherholt is a guy that really does have to figure out his position in the major leagues in the future, but is so athletic that he can really play all over the diamond. Has a nice lefty swing, and I think overall just is a fantastic player. Would add to this Cardinals young hitting core that much, even though it has underperformed a little bit, I think adding Weatherholt could be a really, really nice addition and would overall become a really, really great player for this team. Has shown a lot in West Virginia and overall is a very, very exciting player and has a lot of potential. So, yeah, if I'm a Cardinals fan, I'd be very excited about this pick. I think he is falling a little bit. I think 7 might be a little lower than you'd expect to go, but fantastic player, great athlete, and once he figures out whether he plays second, short, or third, will be a great addition for this Cardinals team. 8th overall pick, I'm going to have the Los Angeles Angels selecting. Here we go. Connor Griffin, shortstop from Mississippi High School. Now, the first high school player we have going in this mock draft, I think Connor Griffin shows a lot of potential in the future. And with this Angels team that is in a deep rebuild, I think it would make a lot of sense to take one of these high school players. Griffin can play both shortstop and outfield and is very athletic, obviously, so it'll be interesting to determine what position he does play at in the future. So, yeah, obviously has a great arm there in both shortstop and the outfield, has a ton of power, can run really well, can field really well. So, yeah, has a really good power, speed, fielding combination, and still has a ton of potential to be able to live up to in the future. Is still only 18. Be a player that develops for a long time in this Angels organization, and I think overall is going to be someone fantastic to will be someone fantastic to follow if you're an Angels fan for the future. So, yeah. Next here, at 9th overall, I have the Pittsburgh Pirates selecting Braden Montgomery, outfielder from Texas A&M. Montgomery is a really fantastic outfielder. I'm not exactly as high on him as some other people, but still has a lot of talent. He's a switch-hitting bat. He has really good power, above average hitting, can run really well, has a great arm, can field really well, is a really good outfield prospect for this Pirates team that I think would really add into their young core of players. And finally, at 10th overall, I have the Washington Nationals selecting James Tibbs, outfielder from Florida State. Tibbs is a player I am very high on. I love his potential. I think there's a ton of talent here. I do have him going a little bit higher than most people, but I think he's going to rise when it comes to draft day. Nice lefty swing. He's more of a contact hitter than a power hitter, but still is an overall great hitter, and I think is really just fantastic. And overall is someone I'm very excited to watch for the future, and I think overall has a lot of potential and would add into this young Nationals core of younger players. And yeah, so I think Tibbs would be a great pick here and a great pick for this Nationals team. So, going over the mock draft again, I have the Cleveland Guardians taking 1st overall, Chase Burns, right-handed pitcher from Wake Forest. 2nd overall, the Reds taking Charlie Condon, third base outfielder from Georgia. 3rd overall, from the Colorado Rockies, selecting Travis Bazanza, second baseman from Oregon State. 4th overall, the Oakland Athletics taking Jack Liglione, first baseman, left-handed pitcher from Florida. 5th overall, the Chicago White Sox selecting Nick Kurtz, first baseman from Wake Forest. 6th overall, the Kansas City Royals selecting Hagen Smith, left-handed pitcher, Arkansas. 7th overall, the St. Louis Cardinals selecting J.J. Weatherholt, infielder from West Virginia. 8th overall, the Los Angeles Angels selecting Connor Griffin, shortstop, outfielder from Mississippi. 9th overall, Pittsburgh Pirates selecting Braden Montgomery, outfielder, Texas A&M. And 10th overall, the Nationals selecting James Tibbs, outfielder from Florida State. So yeah, that is it for the show today, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. So not only get notified when I upload, when all the other great content creators on this channel do. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. And I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, and bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to